If the world had not discovered your great thinking and your writing, how would you go about creating a demand for it? What would be your advertising campaign?
I put people on. It means teasing them, challenging them, upsetting them, befuddling them. Any comic puts on his audience by hurting them. The technique of putting people on, in my case, consists simply in pointing to the things they have ignored, the things that concern them very nearly, but have been totally pushed aside as insignificant. Advertising is, to a large degree, put on, yes, and there has to be a certain comic element in the good advertising. Comic is always the registration of a grievance. The funny man is the man with a grievance.
What's the grievance of an advertiser? What kind of grievance would it be? Obviously,
the grievance, of course, is you're not buying my product.
That it was on the bestseller list in America for month after month. Is that a victory for advertising and marketing?
The bestseller is a mysterious thing that is mainly created. It's not a spontaneous thing. Publishers have methods for creating bestsellers at any time they have to. And it means investing a good deal of money.
Getting back to your rear-view mirror syndrome, shouldn't we, some of us, especially politicians, be looking in that same rear-view mirror to see what carnage is being left behind?
In the case of politics, it's not too difficult to see what's being left behind. But one of the peculiar things about the effects of media on politics is that parties and policies become very unimportant, and the image of the politician takes on a tremendous new importance. This is television, at least. And radio politics are a completely different form. Radio politics are completely different message. But TV politics do not permit very much interest in the policy or the party. But the individual candidate must have charisma. Now, charisma means looking like a lot of other people. That is my technical analysis of that problem. Now, poor Miss Richard Nixon looked only like Richard Nixon. I would point to the fact that TV is primarily concerned with complex processes. Radio is far more a package medium, far more concerned with the definite and wrapped up message and package. It's a hot medium. And whereas TV, with its cool or involving character, is much less able to cope with packages and much more concerned with processes.
If you'd agree that nuclear energy represents mass suicide.
The main development in these electric media is the loss of private identity. Mass man means man as related to all other men simultaneously. So the nuclear world is a kind of rip-off as far as private identity and private values and goals are concerned. How that relates to the atom bomb and so on, it would take a little while to develop. But these forms have a kind of inner logic, an inner dynamic which can be traced and which can be discerned and patterned and recognized.
Do you think that media will always be commercially based?
I appreciate the issues you raise, but the commercial sponsor is naturally more sensitive to the audience than anybody. The commercial sponsor is going to demand a kind of rapport between his investment and the show, which will ensure a great deal of popularity and representativeness to the show.
Professor, you were talking earlier about how the new brain research has opened up new avenues in perception, about the left hemisphere being more towards the logical aspects and the right towards the intuitive. Can you enlarge on the parallel you use between how this is related to the Eastern and Western cultures?
People of the West developed their visual point of view and their acuity of vision along with Euclidean geometry No other country in the world ever had Euclidean geometry except the country of the phonetic alphabet. Without phonetic alphabet, you don't have Euclidean space. Left and right hemisphere things correspond pretty well to east and west, since the lineal nature of the left hemisphere is very visual. Visual space is the only space that is lineal and connected. Acoustic space is not lineal or connected. Acoustic space is a sphere who we hear from all directions at once. Acoustic space is a sphere whose center is everywhere and whose margin is nowhere. That is a simultaneous sound which creates that kind of space. It is the space of the sound bubble in rock music. But right hemisphere is simultaneous acoustic, and this is very favorable to the corporate identity of Oriental man. But the right and left hemispheres affect both of us to some degree. It's not just a plain either or. But in some cultures, the one or the other gets much stress.